Welcome to Faith, Fire, and Focus. I'm Queen Paulette, and this is a space for anyone walking through growth, where faith anchors you, fire refines you, and focus moves you forward. If you are in a season that feels stretching, uncomfortable, or unfamiliar, you are not alone. And more importantly, you are not lost. Today we're talking about what growth really requires. Because growth sounds beautiful when we talk about it, but when you're actually living it, it feels different. Growth feels like stretching. Growth feels like losing comfort. And growth sometimes feels like losing people. And if we're honest, sometimes it feels lonely. But growth is evidence that God is not finished with you. Let's start with Scripture. James chapter 1, verse 2 through 4 says, Consider it your joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, and not lacking anything. Now, faith during growth does not always feel powerful. Sometimes it feels quiet. Sometimes it feels like you're praying and nothing is moving. Sometimes it feels like you're standing in the middle of a stretch season wondering why everything feels harder instead of easier. But that is exactly where faith matures. Faith is not proven when life is smooth. Faith is strengthened when life is stretching you beyond what feels comfortable. Growth seasons often feel like pressure, but pressure is not punishment. Pressure is preparation. When James talks about trials producing perseverance, it's not saying we should enjoy hardship. It's teaching us that something is being built in us that comfort could never build. And that would be endurance, depth, and spiritual muscle. And if you're in a season where things feel unfamiliar or uncomfortable, that may not be a sign that something is wrong. It may be a sign that something is forming. Growth requires trust before there's results. And that kind of trust, now it doesn't happen overnight. It happens one prayer at a time, one decision at a time, and one obedient step at a time. Now, let's talk about the fire. Growth always involves fire. And I don't mean dramatic chaos. I mean refinement. Fire moves what cannot go with you. It burns off ego. It exposes impatience. And it reveals where we rely more on feelings than discipline. If everything in your life feels easy, comfortable, and predictable, the chances are you're not being stretched. Stretching feels inconvenient. Stretching feels lonely. And stretching sometimes feels misunderstood. But stretching is necessary. There are habits that cannot survive your next level. There are mindsets that cannot go where you are headed. And there are relationships that may not understand your growth. And that is not something to resent. That, my friend, is something to accept. Fire is not there to destroy you. Fire is there to refine you. When gold goes through fire, does it lose its value? No, it loses impurities. And sometimes growth feels like loss because something is being removed. But removal does not mean rejection. It just means preparation. You're not being diminished. You, my friend, are being defined. Now, let's bring it all into focus. Growth without direction becomes frustration. So I'm going to give you 3 things you can do this week. First, I want you to identify one area where you feel stretched. Instead of resisting it, I want you to ask yourself, what is this teaching me? Shift from complaint to curiosity. Number 2, change your prayer language. Instead of praying, God, make this easier, try praying, God, build endurance in me. You know, that small shift changes your posture. And number 3, I want you to take one uncomfortable action this week. Make the call, start the plan, and have that conversation. Begin the discipline. Your growth responds to movement. You don't have to overhaul your entire life in 1 week, but you do have to move. Clarity follows obedience. So if you are walking through growth right now, let me remind you of this. You are not behind. You are not being punished. You are not forgotten. You, my friend, are being formed. Stay anchored in your faith, refined by fire, and focused on what matters. And I'll see you in the next episode of Faith, Fire, and Focus. If you're building a quiet space for study and reflection, I've shared a few simple tools I personally use in this show notes. Nothing fancy, just things that help me stay consistent. Have a blessed day.